Hello. I just had my ginger shot for the day, so I am revved up and ready to go. Welcome back for episode 5. So now we've gotten to the point where I've told you guys like all of my professional career moves in the city and sort of all the way up to that. But now I also wanted to just include, the things that I did on the side and while I had all of these jobs that were sort of up and down all the time, and like layoffs were happening, and temp jobs were ending, and all of these things were happening because just like the industry that I worked in was so, up and down that you could never really fully gauge it. So I always had some sort of side hustle, some sort of thing going on at the same time as all of these jobs, so that I didn't have all my eggs in one basket, I guess. Like I could be developing my resume in more than one place, just in case I ever needed it. And also, like, when you work in corporate, it's such a soul suck that you sort of need more. I don't know, maybe not a lot of people agree with that, but like as a creative, I really wanted to go into fashion and like, I don't know, sort of put my creativity on the board. And a lot of the fashion jobs that you get have quite literally no creativity at all, like none. Um, a lot of the jobs that you'll get within fashion will be like just following a formula or like repeating a trend from 3 years ago and just changing some colors. Like it's even for the designers, it's just really not that creative. So anyway, to fulfill my sort of artistic side, I always had some sort of like project going on, or like Felix and I used to make a lot of little clothing pieces together. And, you know, it was just sort of like I was painting on clothing. Like I was saying last episode, I was just trying to find more ways that I could do things. Like I didn't know I could paint. I didn't know I could do any of these things. So I just sort of tried it out, and just like saw where that got me. So the other thing that I was doing in my spare time was, since I've lived in New York, which has been about 12 years, I've dated two guys, and both of those people um, sort of came to me and would be like, I have this dream to do this, or I really want to get a better job in this, or I need more money, or whatever it was. And I always helped. I always helped. So the first person I dated, um, I helped him get, I think, 4 different jobs. So when I started dating him and then when I broke up with him, it was like I think $8 increase in his, because he was like on an hourly. Anyway, so I helped him get a lot of these jobs. And then with the most recent person that I broke up with, he kept telling me he had all these dreams and, oh, I really want to do this, but I don't know how. And I don't know like what I need to do or whatever. So I helped him get some of the supplies. I was like really supportive and like told him I would be a part of it if he wanted me to be. And like that process of just like being there for somebody or offering yourself in that way, while it's really great and like most good women um, invest in their partner that way, and you know it can be a make or break of someone's dreams to have someone that really believes in you on your team. So women are amazing to have in those spaces to just like believe in you and to help you get there and to like tell you you're on the right track. But one of the things that they don't always highlight is how much it takes from you, how much of your time, how much of your energy that you need for your own stuff, your own shit going on. And as a Virgo, I am, one of my love languages is acts of service. So it felt really good for me to help somebody out. It felt really good to feel like you're making a difference and to have someone appreciate your hard work. Because again, in corporate, no, they kind of make you feel like if you don't want to do this, someone else will. So let me know now. And like, that's not being appreciated. That's not whatever. So if you can find these areas outside of work to be appreciated, usually you'll pay into them. And you don't realize at the time that it's a little bit of self-sacrifice for your own goals. But yeah, so, you know, just again, having that desperation for some creativity can push you into a lot of different paths, a lot of different, like areas of your life. And when I got my second dog, which was in 2020, in November, the place that I got my dogs from was just really shady. Like, obviously, I should have known better. I think that a ton of people went through the same thing that I did at this time. But growing up and stuff, we always got dogs from like down the street. It was like a breeder that had like a horse farm or something. It was just very chill, and this breeder wasn't trying to like do this as their life, income or something. So looking for a breeder just wasn't second nature to me. And I always wanted a French bulldog. That was like my thing. And so I already had one. And I went home for like a month during COVID with my first dog, and he got to hang out with all of my mom's dogs. And then when we came back to the city, he was back to just him. And it was like, hello, like, now what? So I got my dog a dog. And once I did that, there were just so many signs at this place I was getting these dogs from, where, because they're both from the same place, were just like, it was really suspect and very unhinged, and so many lies, and like health certificates being faked, paperwork being faked. I started to connect with all of these other people that had dogs from where they're from. And I made this whole entire argument that so many people came and sort of added into, and further proved my point that this place was a puppy mill, like a dangerous puppy mill, not just like, oh, no, this wasn't even in the country. So I basically spent all of my time outside of work exposing this puppy mill. I was getting videos and images and other faked paperwork from all these other owners, and I built this amazing case. Actually, the puppy mill decided to make this whole video like proving that they're not a puppy mill, and that video helped me prove my case better. So I posted this whole thing and this whole series of all the truths of this puppy mill, and I was starting to get a lot of very negative comments because they're very good at marketing, which is how they sort of got so far. They're not breeders. They literally purchase litters of puppies from a mill and then sell them. They developed into something way worse now, but I exposed them for the first time. I was getting death threats. I was getting people that were threatening to come to my house and take my dogs and all this stuff. I'm like, come, go ahead. Go ahead. I am not scared of you. Everything will be fine. Like, please. And, it just, seeing some of those images, seeing, where these dogs started, or the conditions that they started in, or where the moms and dad dogs lived, heartbreaking. It was so emotional and so heartbreaking. So it took a lot out of me. I think that a lot during that time I was not doing so well, and I wasn't doing well at work because I was so distracted, and I was in communication with like over 50 owners of these dogs, and just hearing these stories that were just gutting, just so gutting, and trying so hard to make a difference. That was really how it started. And then from there, I wanted to do more in the pet industry. Like, what could I do? I started to try and design harnesses, and I started to foster and rescue. I actually pulled a dog from the ACC in Manhattan, and like got her back to good health so she could be adopted out, and fostered these little poodly puppies, and helped my mom rescue some dogs. I just sort of went into this like, if I can't make it better over there with where my dogs are from, I'm going to try everything else that I can. And I had a friend at the time whose mom ran or like was part of a rescue. And so she kind of brought me in and helped me become a part of it, which was really cool. And then I got involved in rescues on Instagram and stuff too. So I actually ended up rescuing a dog from the same place my dogs are from this person that couldn't keep her dog anymore. And that dog now lives at my mom's house. And yeah, it was just this period of time where dogs had always been something that was a safe place for me. And I just wanted to like dive into it. I wanted to see if there was anything in that industry that was like for me. So I even got into how to feed a dog. I got in touch with this woman that like not anymore. She's actually gotten into human health as well. But back then, her whole entire thing was, um, feeding dogs. So traditional Chinese veterinary medicine through nutrition was like her whole thing. And so I took a course with her. I signed up for like a one-on-one for my dog because he was having a lot of allergies and things like that. So I was just like all dog all day. I was learning all about nutrition, all about what dogs need and all these nuances and the signs that your dogs are showing. You just like literally everything I could, um, just to see if there was something there for me. And, TCVM was definitely something that I was so interested in. Not going to the vet and spending $1 billion and not feeling used and abused by a vet. I'm not saying that every vet does that, but especially in the city, there are tons and tons of vets that see a French bulldog coming and they're just like cha-ching, cha-ching, and it leaves you so hopeless. And you feel like if you don't do this, that your dog's going to be in a worse place, or you don't know what the other option is. You just sort of are left to trust them. And it's not always a good place to be, but it's also not always the right choice, right? And so then a couple months after I started down the track of cooking for my dogs and learning all the things that they need within their diets, my second dog had an injury and she needed to be rushed to the emergency vet. And this was a time in my life where my dogs, still to this day, but since obviously I got them, they have meant so much to me. Like, I don't have children of my own. I don't have siblings near me. My parents don't live in this state. So, like, they are my largest sense of family near me, and they give so much back to me. And the feeling of not knowing what's going on when your dog has an emergency situation and not knowing how much it's going to cost and not knowing what the recovery is going to look like, not knowing if they're going to make it, I was bawling my eyes out in the emergency vet's office. And the second guy that the second relationship I had in this city, I was dating him still at the time, and I reached out to him and I was telling him what was going on. I'm like, I had to rush Jada to the emergency vet and she's really not doing well. And I explained the whole situation and I got one word in a text back, which was, damn. Now you think about all of the times that you have needed someone to be there for you. All of the times that support that you've received has allowed you to show up as your best self. Support you've received has um, made you feel stronger and more capable of standing up and being present and you know ready to fight for the thing you need to fight for. And when you have a person that's your boyfriend or your significant other, whatever, and the support they're giving you is so like under hell, nothing, like not even the bare minimum, you start to reevaluate so many things, and your mental health is already so damaged by just what's going on, that when you reach out to somebody for some support and that's all you're getting back, it rewires something in your head. It shows you how alone you are in this process. And yeah, I reached out to a couple friends after that, and they were everything. They truly were the ones that helped me to stay sane throughout this whole process. But, you reach out to your significant other first. I didn't see this man for 3 days after this happened. So again, it's like, at the same time as telling my life story throughout these episodes in the beginning here, I'm also telling where my mental was and how much of this stuff I had to get through by myself, and how the closest people to you could be the ones abandoning you first. And you don't even really recognize it until you're through the storm and you can look back on it and be like, you know what? My boat actually had a crack in it this whole entire time and I didn't even know. So there are certain things that the universe pauses you in really hard moments to show you so that you can actually get the clear view of what you're dealing with. No, this person was never the right choice for you. No, this person never had your back. No, this person never would go the extra mile for you. And in these moments when you need someone so bad, they're not going to be the one. So getting all of these sort of things that seemed to have been piling up, having a boyfriend I could not count on, having my dog be in an emergency situation, having my other dog having all these allergies and things that I have to now buy all of these ingredients and cook for them and learn how to do all these things. It just felt like every brick was stacking up against me, and it felt like I had so many more losses than I had wins. And I'm a fighter. I am a fighter till the death. Like, none of these things are going to deter me. They're not going to make me stop fighting. But we can never avoid the conversation of mental health. It's like Simone Biles. She did not go to the Olympics, even though she was the number one best in the world at what she did, because she was not mentally in the space that she needed to be in to compete at that level. So we can have all of the skills, we can have all of the determination and all of those things, but if we are not doing well, everything else is on the back burner. And so, sometimes we don't stop and think about those things. Sometimes we don't prioritize that mattering as much as performing or like doing our best. All of these things are part of the same equation. You can't walk away from a mental health situation and pretend it's not there, because it will come back and it will remind you just how important it is. So yeah, like I realized sort of after that this person I was dating was just not available to date anybody. I had a lot of signs that he just was living in the closet and didn't even want to be with a woman at all. And as we're realizing in this world, women are being duped out of a lot of things, and we need to be cognizant all the time, aware all the time of who we're connecting ourselves to, who we're claiming, who we're standing beside. All of the times that I would try and help him with his dreams and his goals, it would somehow end up being my fault. Like, I'm pushing him too hard, or I believe in him more than he believes in himself. Just this absolute mass of things that I was like doing wrong, even though I was doing more for his goals and dreams than he was doing. And on top of that, I had no support from him. He had almost no interest in being around people that were of my gender, truly, and was lying, masquerading. You also realize in these times that shame is a huge motivator for people to just continue to lie. So I had a mutual friend of ours approach me and tell me some things that really showed me that this person it was not just me, that this was something that other people that have dated him have deeply experienced as well. I had to get out of there. No matter how much anyone around me liked him, no matter how much my friends, my family approved of this person, it was never going to work. I was never going to put myself through more of that, because I am just not who this person chooses, and it's destroying me. So again, one of those things where you're like, oh, like, when can I just take a deep breath? When can I, like, I'm laid off right now. My dog is this. He is not this. I am not this. I don't feel good. I'm not joyful. How many other things can be added to this list, right? Like, how many kicks can my ribs take? So anyway, yeah. At this point, you know, like right before I broke up with him, he would say things to me. He'd be like, you have goals and I have goals, and neither of us know how to get to them. And I'm thinking to myself in my head, I have been spending so much time on this person's goals that I have completely abandoned my own. And now I have this man thinking that I can't do my own goals because I can't do his. It was such a wake up call. Like, no, we are not the same. You can't do your goals. That's absolutely a fact. I can definitely do my goals. And I am not going to sit here and allow you to speak for me and to sort of gaslight me into like being on your level, because I'm not. And I've been helping you this whole time, and I led you to water. And if you can't drink, I'm gonna, right? So then it was at that very moment that I remembered that conversation I had with that DMM at Ross, where she said that you could never be a buyer, you could never be responsible for a category that's, you know, over $1 million of revenue every year. Like, you should aim lower. Now, right before I got laid off, that's the job I had. I was a buyer, right? That was the literal title that I had. So you're realizing all around you that the people that you're choosing to call on, the people that you're choosing to lean on a little bit, are the people that are actually jealous of what you're capable of, or want to pull you down to their level so bad that they would actually be willing to speak to you like that. So why would you let it? Again, back to mental health. Are you choosing the right people to be around? Are these people even for you? What are you even stopping to accredit them for? So you're going through these things, and especially in low moments, you have these voices in your head of these people that have just said these things that like don't add up. Why would this person ever hate on me like that? Why would this person ever choose to take time out of their day to pull me down? Does that make any sense? Especially when I've been a really good employee. I've been helping you with your dreams. I've been positive when you've been extremely negative. Like, help me make that make sense, because it does not. Um, you know, and then you get to a point. You get to a point, and you know, being laid off from Alpha Agility was hard for me because that job had a lot of flexibility, but it also had a lot of boxes that you were forced to fit into. And if you didn't, it was a problem. And it wasn't healthy. I was working so hard to meet somebody else's standards when I could have been meeting my own and still getting the work done. But that wasn't what was like, there wasn't flexibility around that. There wasn't someone that was saying, okay, I see where you're coming from and your way could work. Yeah. It was like, I see where you're coming from, but no, we're doing this. And it was just, it made me feel like my value was not being seen, like my worth was being discarded. And I was working so hard to please my boss at this point that I never stopped to realize how much it was taking a toll on me. Like, I had all this shit going on outside of work, all of these things. And then inside of work, I wasn't being valued. I wasn't, you know, sort of allowed to show my creativity in ways that benefited everybody. And don't get me wrong, I loved that job and I loved my coworkers, but there were moments where you really felt like, damn, this might not be for me. And you know, when the layoff happened, I panicked. I was in such a different place than I was when I got laid off from American Eagle. When I got laid off from American Eagle, I was like, okay, we're good. Party, you know, like 3 months of severance. We're going to find another job. Everything's going to be great. I was so optimistic and so positive. And then when I got laid off from Alpha Agility, I was like, this is it. I have to go dig my own grave now because that's where I can go lay. Like I was applying to like 400 jobs a day. I'm not even kidding. I was so manic and so desperate to find another job. And again, mental health, like I never thought to myself in the moment, like, girl, the reason that you're not able to find another job is because this is not for you. This has never served you. Like, it's time. And I just, a lot of the times for people, it's easier to deny the truth and just try and push through and keep going and than it is to face the reality of the situation and pivot and do the scary thing. That was the hardest thing for me, was to finally come to terms with the fact that like the only reason I feel manic and negative and hopeless is because this is not the path. I've never felt like this before. And there's a reason for that. And again, I wasn't doing those check-ins with myself to make sure that I was on the right track, that I was going the right way. And, they'll catch up with you. They really will. And, all of these things being compounded together just felt like I was redefining rock bottom with every single piece of bad news that I was getting. There was some family drama at the time. I got laid off. I broke up with my boyfriend. My dog had an emergency situation. It was just like, it kept going and it just didn't feel like there was any stop. And one of the things that has been really important to me my whole life for safety, has been being financially independent. The first time that I ever really felt super safe within my own head and my own self was being financially independent. And taking this big risk and not going back into corporate and getting another corporate job was risking that safety that I had created for myself. It was the biggest risk I had ever taken. It was stepping so deeply into uncomfortability, which is something that, of course, I'm very used to. I actually probably live more of my life uncomfortably than comfortably by choice. It pushes me better. But this was an uncomfortability that I was trying everything in my power to avoid. Then you get to a point where you realize, if I'm at rock bottom, I have nothing going for me right now. This is basically a rebuilding time. You don't have safety really anyway. So you can either sit here and wallow and potentially lose everything you have, or you can start to plan for what's next. And that is what kind of sparked my head up and what, picked me up. And of course, I had been in therapy through this whole time, and I have an absolutely wonderful therapist who is very unique. She really supports me in a way that there's not really advice. There's questions that she asks me that provokes my own thought. And again, just sort of a sounding board and a person to vent to, and was just fundamentally just so important for me at this time when I just felt like the world was against me and, I was sitting at rock bottom. So then I was at the point where I was finally ready. It was go time. I couldn't stop. I couldn't think of anything else. I was free of all of my things, all of the baggage, all of the everything. I didn't owe anybody anything except for myself. So I hit up my career counselor yet again. And I just said to her, like, I'm ready. I'm finally ready to be who I'm destined to be. And the risks are there. It's going to happen. We got to face this head on. Let's go. And this was kind of the first time that I flew solo. This was the first time that there was no path, no safety, no map, no guidelines, just getting more comfortable with yourself and what you're capable of every single day. Um, you know, watching yourself grow so much because you have to develop into this entrepreneur that you weren't before. And you remember all of those days that you like doubted your leadership or doubted your abilities, or any doubts that you had about yourself professionally are just like melting away in real time because you are developing a person that you are about to step into that you've never been before. And you can't have doubts there because you don't have a boss telling you, okay, today when you clock in, this is what you have to do first thing on your docket. Like this is the to-do list you have. No, you have to do all of that yourself. You have to be the architect, you have to be the day-to-day manager, you have to be the motivator. Every single role is you. And it's scary. I'm not going to lie, it's scary, but it's good scary. And one of the glorious things about having dogs is that you walk them, you take them on walks, and every single day on your walk, you have this possibility of meeting other people and talking to them, stopping and chatting. Maybe your dog wants to meet their dog, or you guys have the same type of dog, or like whatever. And I met this woman named Stephanie who had a dog that looks just like my older dog. And we stopped and talked about nutrition a lot one day. And, we saw each other a bunch after that. We live in the same general neighborhood. And one day she had this idea like, girl, you should teach a class. Like, I don't know why you don't. Like, this could be really big for you. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know of anybody that I could get to come to the class. I don't really want to be responsible for like trying to get people to come. And I mean, I could just stand up there and teach it, sure. But I don't know. And she was like, well, no, like I can help you with that part. Like I run this Frenchie meetup in Brooklyn, and like I would love to help you. Like we can partner. And so, I thought about it a little bit and mulled it over. And I was like, you know what? If she's going to help me with this part and she's going to help me with the like technical side of it, like the setting up the Instagram and setting up the sort of the booking system that we have and all these things, like, why would I say no? This is like amazing. And this woman is so nice. She's so sweet. So at the same time that I met with my college counselor, my career counselor, to get things going with my entrepreneurship journey, I also had this side hustle that she was presenting to me. I mean, I had already had this experience in dog nutrition, and I wasn't like a certified dog nutritionist, but I knew what I was talking about. And I had somebody that I could send clients to if their needs exceeded what I was capable of giving them. And it just felt right. So we ended up making this dog nutrition class called the Dog Foodist instead of the Doggist, kind of a play on that. And we started teaching classes in her studio, and it was really fun. I'm still doing it. It's so fun, and there's no pressure because it's like, okay, you wait for somebody to book the class, and if they don't book that class, there's no pressure to do it. And you can do one-on-ones if people are not in the city. So it was just like another creative outlet, another place for me to help people, another avenue that I could just bring money in and feel accomplished. And, there's really no better feeling than helping somebody. So all these little avenues started to open up, and it started to like get the momentum. It's like the snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger as it's rolling down the hill and gaining momentum as it gets bigger. And you get to a point where you're like, I don't feel like I've done 100 things, but I'm looking around me and almost every single person that I see is either working a job they hate, they're getting laid off for the 5th, 6th time, they're trying desperately to figure out another avenue for themselves because the economy is so scary and so unpredictable, and we don't know if our jobs are safe. And that creates this whole other level of worry and fear that you might not even be able to make rent next month or something like that. So, there's these moments in time where you can just sit back and be so grateful for the things that you do have. And even though you're not where you want to be right now, that means you still have goals. That means you're still marching towards something. That means you're still on the journey. And I don't know about you, but the journey has always been my favorite part. Sort of getting to that end point or what you think is the end goal. It's not as sweet as the journey because you'll miss the journey once you get there. And sure, yeah, you can always set new goals and you can always, start a new track once you get to your like end goal. But the first journey, that like first push and that motivation, like even famous people, even like rappers and stuff, talk so much about that motivation, that hunger to just get to that first point where you feel accomplished and you feel like you've done something and you've made a name for yourself. These milestones really matter. And so, as much as I, have trouble with patience, like waiting for business to come to me, waiting for me to get there, I'm getting better at it because I have been loving this journey so much. And over Christmas, my mom even asked me to paint a picture of like a portrait of each of her dogs. She has 5 rescue dogs. And I was thinking to myself, like, what are you talking about? And then I did it. And I ended up painting a picture of my own 2 dogs. It's like up here. Can't see it right now, but it's in one of my old videos. And it's fulfilling. I opened up an Etsy store. It's called Painted Fur Faces, and I'm making custom work for people that want to book it there too. So it's like, again, you have this channel that you've created, you have your entrepreneurial journey with your business, which is also, I'll get to that next episode in this channel to sort of tell you guys more about my actual business that pairs to this channel. But then you have your Etsy shop, you have your channel, you have, these episodes that go on Spotify as well. Like you have your dog food classes. Like it again, it's like once you find your space of alignment, these things just come to you. The universe shows you you're on the right track by having your journey continue. And one of the things that I do in my entrepreneurial business is help you find the alignment based on who you are as an individual so that you can become that snowball and get more and more and more things rather than trying so hard to go and fight somebody else's dream or somebody else's journey that's just, it's not meant for you. And that's okay. Everybody has uniqueness. Everybody has a different journey and a different dream, and that ends up in a different path. And it's up to each of us to find that path and not try and mimic somebody else's when that isn't ours, So anyway, this has just gotten so exciting, and each episode that I sort of record here has motivated me a little bit more to tell exactly what I'm doing, outline exactly the steps that I took. And so now that you've kind of gotten a little taste of what I do outside of the corporate world during working in the corporate world, the next episode I will focus on my company, which is called Nectar Brand Therapy. And I will tell you guys a little bit more about that journey and what it is and what I do, how I can help, and the people that I have helped. So that's going to be a really exciting one. I'm excited for that one to be the next one so that I can start getting to work on that. But thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you next week.